All right, LukaNation, we got a really special episode for you guys today, and I have a feeling this is going to be one you guys listen to a few times for a few reasons. It touches on a ton of kind of thesis that Cage and I have. We got, we spent 45 minutes talking kind of backstage with Ken and Matt, and they're awesome guys. This is an awesome company, and I would love for you guys to support and listen to this episode. So, Matt, head of operations. Ken, I mean UI, UX, just design guru. You'll introduce yourself in a second because I'm probably butchering that. But these are guys from MySlabs. And if you guys have heard, I say, in a world right now of decentralization, right? We see all these different marketplaces. You got to be on every one, right? It doesn't even cost money to be on every one. MySlabs is definitely one you want to be on. So if you want to pause this recording, go ahead, create an account, and kind of follow along. They have some really innovative cards, really cool cards you probably don't see anywhere else. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Matt and Ken Rogers from the MySlabs team.
How we doing, guys?
All right.
Never better.
Listen, I'm going to give them an intro, right? And you can get into your questions, right? Because anybody who listens to
mine
our show,
not an intro?
No, that was just, hey, it's Matt and Ken. One of them does UI. One of them's very handsome. Matt, that's you. You're the very handsome one. And
I appreciate that.
So, but here's the real one, right, guys? Everybody who knows me knows I'm a complainer. I'm a whiner. I'm a whiner about the hobby. I whine a lot, right? But the whining comes from a place of love. It's the same place Andrew comes from when he tells you almost every episode that he's looking out for the little guy, right? Somebody looking out for the little guy, right? And I talk to you guys about how this hobby is a house of cards, how it's a pyramid, how it's all kinds of craziness, and how the wrong chain of events could be catastrophic for it. We could lose that bottom. We could lose the market participants who came in and be stuck the way we were 5 years ago, where it was just the same couple of dozen guys, yes, you, Nat, and friends, who were buying these expensive cards, right? So I love the fact that we have all these market participants, and I've complained that we've had people on. And I said, okay, well, who's going to take care of the little guy, right? Who's gonna fix the eBay problems that I've talked about, right? Who's going to fix the grading problems, right? And I ask these questions, and I just leave it out there in the ether, complaining, right? But what we have here today, it's a special one. It really is. I mean, you use the word special, it really is, because I've talked about the problems with eBay. I've talked about the fees. I've talked about all of the different platforms that have a lot of negatives, the returns that are on there. We've even pivoted towards digital because they don't have the issues with logistics and returns and the whole 9 yards. And we talk about, like, how do you pay 10, 12, or buyer's premium 20% on some of these things? How do you deal with return? But you know what we got here today, guys? We got somebody who's actually doing something about it. And doing something about it with legit cards. And Andrew's right. Take a second. Go on their site. This isn't just, they have some, grading company you never heard of, base cards from 1990 Fleer being traded back and forth amongst the same three guys. No, this is legit cards. Legit. I'm talking Mickey Mantles, Michael Jordans, PSA 10s up to wazoo, legit sales of cards between $50,000 and $100,000 many times over. And that's what MySlabs is bringing. It is a solution to a problem that we've talked about over and over again. So I'm excited to have you on here. I'm excited to introduce our audience to this as a tool for them to use, because I do believe something like this with 1% fees and limited no backsies, and I'll let you guys get into the details of that, is a tool that will add people to the marketplace and probably keep people here, because it provides a liquidity that nobody else is providing. It provides that sort of, you can buy this, sell this, and have some security with it. So I'm excited to have you guys on. I don't know if you can tell. I'm excited to have you on today. So there's my intro for you guys. Nah. So, I mean, did I do you a service? Tell us how this thing started. Tell us a little bit about MySlabs, either one of you guys.
No, I appreciate that. And really, to be honest, I think you really almost said without saying it, is that this MySlabs actually on a very fundamental level. It's a business that is really was kind of founded as very reactionary to a lot of the pet peeves, of people in the hobby, and I don't want to say, listen, obviously I don't want to throw eBay under the bus, because eBay has their model. I mean, listen, eBay has the liquidity, right? Like, they have the most eyeballs. I mean, listen, I'm the CEO of MySlabs, and I use eBay. I buy stuff on eBay. I sell stuff on eBay.
So do I.
I mean, listen, I think that if you're in the hobby and you have to go where the liquidity is, and I think you have to use multiple platforms, and obviously if you have to go where the cards are that you want in some cases, and so we definitely. I would never sit here and say that that it's my slabs or nothing, type of thing. But the truth of it is, I think that there are a lot of issues with eBay, kind of that you mentioned. I mean, obviously the fee structure isn't ideal for a lot of folks, especially high velocity folks that want to get in and out of stuff, and then of course all the shenanigans, as far as non-payers and just people returning, things for, just for illegitimate reasons. And
Yep.
I mean, and obviously Matt can go much more into that, but the truth of it is, MySlabs is really a business founded, very reactionary to all of those things, so
Well,
am I
Ken, I'm
leaving
glad. No, I think I'm glad you come with a little honesty, right? Because there are two types of businesses: the guys who come in here and say, "I'm the best. I don't care that somebody's been around for 20 years. I'm better, and I'm going to kill them, and I'm going to win and destroy them and blow them out of the water." Or you have somebody who comes in like we had the CEO of ComC come in, and that company is not going anywhere. That company is doing great, right? That company is doing better than he could probably have ever imagined. And it's because he doesn't take pot shots at eBay. He understands that eBay isn't going to be there. He works with eBay, right? And for you to say, look, there's a platform out there. I still buy on eBay. I buy on eBay. Of course, I put something on eBay yesterday, right? But here's the thing, right? And I think this is an important distinction, right? And then we'll let Matt get into, the behind the scenes, the what the return policy is, because I know I'm putting myself in the seat of the listeners. That's what they want to hear. What's that limited return? They want to hear. So Matt, get ready. But this week I watched football, right? And I watched Amon-Ra St. Brown have a great game. And I watched Duke Johnson go out of the practice squad and have 2 touchdowns. And I watched, Brandon Cook show up and have 2 touchdowns. And I'm watching fantasy. And I said, you know what? I got some Amon-Ra St. Brown cards in my basement. And I got some Duke Johnson cards. And I got Brandon Cook rookies. I want to sell them. But I know that if I put those on eBay this week and someone buys them today at their highs, because wow, Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be the next Jerry Rice today based on yesterday's performances, right? Someone's going to buy it. But then next week, Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't have a catch. Duke Johnson doesn't play because the 3 Miami Dolphins running backs that were on the COVID list come back, and Duke's back on the practice squad. And you know what? All of a sudden, the cards that I sold today have scratches on them. The cards that I sold today, next week, after next week's performance, where Amon-Ra St. Brown is not as cool, right? All of a sudden, it's being returned for some sort of issue that's non-existent. That's right. On eBay, right? So maybe there is a world where there are cards that work better on MySlabs than on eBay. And Matt, talk to me. Talk to me about that limited return policy and everything else.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say everybody in the world uses eBay. We're not morons. And if you're in this industry, you should be utilizing as many platforms as possible. It's just, the main issue with eBay is, that sports cards are an investment. Selling lawnmower parts should not have the same rules as selling sports cards per se. That being said, in regards to the return issue, you're buying graded cards on MySlabs, unopened wax, things that really shouldn't have any returns on them. The only way you should be returning those if they show up and they're destroyed. Buyer's remorse, seller's remorse, the things that other platforms are riddled with, we don't tolerate that on MySlabs. If you're selling on MySlabs, we expect you to honor a sale. If a player goes out and has 3 touchdowns and his cards go through the roof, but you do not raise your prices and that card sells, we expect you to ship that to the buyer. There's no cancellation and relisting. And likewise, as a buyer, you're not returning cards on our platform for remorse. It's graded. You knew what it was when you were buying it. You knew the risks involved. If you try to do so, you'll be removed so that no other seller will ever have to deal with you again. We just don't tolerate that. There should be very strict guidelines for these types of things. And we think on our platform, we've kind of nailed most of them. I mean, we're constantly evolving and adapting. But for the most part, this site was designed by collectors and investors for collectors and investors, and we're trying to do the greater good. A lot of our customer service issues would kind of, the people that have to be removed would beg to differ, but they're removed for a reason.
Well, I mean, it's kind of got almost like a Facebook group vibe to it, right? At eBay, you can hide, right? But you get put on a scammer list on Facebook, and you're like, you're a scammer forever, right? I mean, you're building a community around it, right? So it's one of those things also where, like, people know who's selling that card, and if all of a sudden, they're like, I'm not selling it. That guy just had 3 touchdowns. Boom, you're gone, and the whole world knows.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you, to help get the platform off the ground, I opened a MySlabs welcome forum on Facebook to get the word out. I have to thank all my friends here because I guilted all my dealer friends in the beginning to come on board and kind of give this a little bit of credibility for the people that didn't know me, or us for that matter. But there's over 8,000 people in the welcome forum. It's just, information, for beginners that kind of want to see what's going on the platform, who maybe, kind of fringe whether or not they trust the site because it was a new site 3 years ago. People have a hard time kind of buying into anything new. You see it with the grading agencies and so forth. Even with what we promised, in regards to the best buyer and seller protection and the lowest fees, people were still extremely hesitant to come on. So we created the welcome forum, and you're right. When things go sideways on site, if somebody's trying to do something kind of scandalous, people know about it awfully. Obviously we don't release that information, but just the way social media is, everybody knows about it immediately. So it's very hard to hide. We stress accountability.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the hobby polices itself.
Absolutely.
I was just going to say that. I mean, it's exactly what happens is we just have like a whole kind of dynamic that evolves where it actually starts to police itself, which is nice, for us. I mean, because it's validation, right? Like it's just, kind of that at least you're appealing to, I guess that, the message is getting across and you're appealing to the right people, and people value that.
You know what interests me, and I think this is a little snapshot of where the hobby's heading. You guys have 4 categories of things you sell on MySlabs. You guys have wax, you have cards, you have comics, and you have digital NFT. And this is peer-to-peer, right? So like if I have a box of 2018 Prism, I could list it on there. Someone could come in and buy it for me. You have comics. Comics took off. You have some digital NFT. Talk to us. Has it always been those 4 categories? And talk to us why those 4 specifically.
Well, when I came aboard in March, basically it was just wax and slab cards, and I just, to be honest, I mean, I think, I think cards and comics are kind of like peanut butter and jelly, to some degree, right? Like a lot of people collect both, and I mean, I personally collect both, so I thought it was.
How dare you?
What's that?
How dare you? You should stay in your lane.
That's right, man. You got to be a shark or a jet. Shark or you can't be a shark and a jet. Like it doesn't work that way.
I like the Yankees and the Mets. I like the Yankees and the Mets. You didn't?
No.
Like
no.
Right. That's actually not as bad as like you can't like the Yankees and the Red Sox like that.
Well, I'm from Boston, gentlemen.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun with that one, actually. Matt and
Ken,
I,
are you from New York, Ken?
Yeah, I'm from Long Island, actually. Yeah. What about you guys? You guys are from New York? I mean, like you guys seem like you're from New York.
I'm from Philly. He's from Brooklyn. He's from
Okay.
where Biggie's from.
I'm sitting on Long Island myself right now, Ken.
Okay. I was gonna say I listen to your show. I feel like I'm listening to like Mike and the Mad Dog or something. Like
we've heard that a few times. Which is good. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take Mike and the Mad Dog with Pat McAfee money.
There you go.
He's paving a way for podcasters, Cage. He's paving a way for podcasters. So
listen, we're rocking and rolling. But no, I mean, listen, just shoot.
Yeah.
So
what I was going to say was
about.
Yeah. So I thought comics was a natural fit. It's a very well established market. I thought it was just a kind of an obvious kind of low hanging fruit kind of way for us to kind of expand our total addressable market as a company. And then obviously the digital and the NFT thing, it was just kind of it was new, it was sexy, and I mean obviously we tried to keep it sports centric, right? Like so the Panini products, the Topps products, Top Shot, So Rare, the soccer stuff, like really the sports focused stuff. So it's not like people are listing CryptoPunks and apes, on MySlabs and stuff like that. But we thought it was something that it's not a big mover for us right now, but maybe if it wasn't it was fairly lightweight for us to kind of execute on that. It wasn't the worst thing to kind of have a foot in that game and maybe be a little bit of an early actor in that space. Anyway, so that's how that all happened.
I'm curious, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. I know 15 minutes in, we could talk a lot about MySlabs, but I want to go a little edgy. If you were made CEO of Panini Digital tomorrow, right? You have all these digital cards on your platform. Panini owns the digital license. What would you do to kind of stimulate growth in that area, right? Because there's a little confusion over Panini Digital, right? You have Duncan Blitz, which is kind of hanging out over here. Then you have Panini Digital Cards, which are here, and they're kind of not connected, and the market wants to know. Ken, I'm curious. If you're CEO of Panini Digital, what would you do?
I mean, I got to be honest with you, like, just kind of doing what I do at MySlabs, I handle a lot of the marketing and the advertising. I'm all over social media. I mean, this hobby, I think I think it's just the nature of the world that we live in, but I mean, it's just, everybody's consuming, social media and content on, Spotify, on YouTube and everywhere else. Like, I got to be honest with you, I don't see Panini advertising any of their, or anybody for that matter, maybe Top Shot a little bit, but, certainly not Topps and Panini doing any kind of real marketing, in those areas, or at least the places that I go. I mean, maybe they do. I haven't seen it if they do, but so if I
they don't.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, to me that would be the most obvious place to go, would be just kind of get in the places where people that collect the physical stuff are congregating and consuming content, and just get in front of people. I mean, I'll spend some money, advertise. I don't know. That's what I would do.
Seems pretty easy, right? Seems pretty straightforward.
What interests me is, here we are, and I'm talking to you guys like collectors, so I think you'll appreciate this. Here we are, I mean, a quarter way through the NBA season, basically halfway done the NFL season, and there's no viable investment product for the players in those leagues. Like, if I want to buy Mac Jones cards, what am I going to pay for an overpriced Dunruss? You know what I mean? If I want to invest in Evan Mobley, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't want a hoops card. But digital, which could come out way faster, and it came out before, is actually a viable option for investing in your favorite rookies. Am I onto something? Am I crazy? Because I get DMs. We get dozens of DMs, and they're like, well, I like Evan Mobley. I like Mac Jones. I want to invest in those guys, but what product should I buy?
Yeah. To be honest with you, just being someone that is an old school collector, I've been around the card comic hobby for a long time. And obviously got introduced to the whole digital side of things, just kind of probably around the same time as everyone else. And, I think I tried to embrace it. I think a lot of, older school folks, in the hobby, there's just kind of an instant kind of rejection of the whole digital NFT, / concept, where almost they can't even get over themselves and get past it to even try it, for lack of a better term, but I kind of, just really, again, doing market research for MySlabs, and, was something we wanted to offer on platforms. So I kind of forced myself to kind of just get over the hump and just get out there and start getting into some of the stuff. And, I have a Panini Blitz account. I have a Topps Bunt, account, and, I bought a lot of that stuff. And, I mean, after and the Top Shot as well, and to be honest, after kind of getting my hands dirty with it and just kind of owning it and just kind of being in it a little bit, I get it, and to be honest with you, I think it's pretty cool. And I think there's potentially a place for it, but, I'm not sure if the hobby and the collector base at large is really ready for it, and certainly on the NFT side, because I got to be honest with you, securing a crypto wallet and transacting, with these, especially on these trading platforms and all the scams that are out there. I mean, obviously Top Shot is a closed ecosystem. Correct. So they can kind of control that. But obviously, if you have sports related NFTs that are able to be traded like on the general Ethereum network. I think there's, a lot of people, I think the scams and that sort of thing is a real potential headwind, at least in the short term, for that stuff to gain kind of mass adoption. I mean, obviously,
I think of with digital, Ken, especially
what's that?
Your platform. I see even Blitz and Dunk and stuff on your podcast. You know what I think of with digital? I think everyone who's listening to this has heard a story of somebody who, oh wow, I bought Bitcoin. I have that computer with Bitcoin on it, and I lost it for a while. I just found it. I found my Bitcoin computer, and I was buying Bitcoin at like $30 a Bitcoin. And guess what? I'm a millionaire now. So I don't know whether those are true or not, but that's what I'm doing.
Paige. That's why I'm in Bell right now.
That's what I'm doing with digital. I'm buying my Panini stuff. I'm buying my Top Shot stuff and my my digital Dunk and whatnot, and it's just going to be there in the hope that maybe 10 years from now they figured out all the scamming and the issues and the liquidity of it. And I look at your site and see there are people selling Top Shot packs. Like that's much tougher. It's a heavier lift for somebody who's a tangible collector to buy that than just click buy it now on a slab, because they know they click buy it on a slab and in a couple of days that slab's going to be at their house. Buy a throwdowns pack of Top Shot on your site, and it's like, okay, they have to get with the buyer of it who's going to open it for them, probably on a live, and hope that the stuff gets gifted to them through whatever the transfer mechanism. Like there's a whole to do with it. There's a lot of trust involved. Whereas there's trust involved in cards, but over and over again, that trust is just, hey, I pay, you send me the slab. There's that whole gap. My hope is that those gaps kind of close, and maybe 10 years from now, I'm one of those guys like, oh, I remember I had that Panini Dunk account that my son was using, and there's 15,000 cards on there. Yeah, maybe I got something. But if it's not, it's
a lot of cards.
You guys know from our chat before this started that I'm probably the least qualified to talk about any of this stuff. But I am, however, in a lot of the Panini NFT rooms and so forth, just because we have them on site. I like to see what's going on. They should be kind of marketing more towards Europe. Europe does not have the same access to cards that we do, and that's the biggest complaint over there. Those guys seem to love the digital stuff, the NFT stuff. It's just, from what I understand, there's no representation over there. Panini, Topps are not pushing the issue. So these rooms with 3,000 to 4,000, collectors, they're just these kind of consolidated, concentrated little areas, and they all say the same thing. There's not enough marketing over there. They love this stuff. If they can figure out how to market more overseas, that stuff would take off, at least I feel. It's not going to be as large, I don't believe, over here, where Americans are so big into the physical asset. We have all this stuff at our disposal. But that's my 2 cents anyway.
So we've had Panini on, we've had Brett Whiteley on, and they've taken some of my suggestions. But the biggest suggestion I had to make this stuff work, besides marketing, because marketing is a great thing, and they didn't take this one, and they really should have. They have challenges like Top Shot. You guys will see the challenges. And one of the most recent ones was kind of like a master challenge. Everybody seems to use LaMelo as the master challenge. The Cool Cats was for Top Shot, and they had it was a color blast LaMelo, right? And I think they only had like 62 of them total that were made. And I mean, a numbered color blast. I mean, think about that in the tangible world, what that would sell for of LaMelo, right? So you got a LaMelo color blast number to 62. And what I told them was, I said, you only got 62 people doing this. You should make 62 tangible of that color blast LaMelo that matches up with the digital one, and send one to everybody who's a holder of the digital one, and let them put it on Instagram. Let them, because that's promoting without you having to promote. I'm sure it's not as easy as running off 62 cards, right? Numbered color blast. I'm sure that they're a company, they could figure out how to do it, and it would probably cost some money. But think of what they would get in. And if they were doing that once a year, twice a year, whatever it is, on the other big cards, Mac Jones, giveaway up to 100, but tangible. And people who are the tangible guys who want that limited LaMelo or that limited Mac Jones would have to then go and do the digital.
Absolutely.
In order to get the tangible card. All of a sudden, now you got something. But nobody listens to me.
Free consulting from the big man, Cage.
Nobody listens to me.
Some people listen, and their businesses have done well. So don't say nobody. Some people have listened. So Matt, can you shed a little light? We've been talking. The tangible market's been flat. we had KK Sports on, right? It's group subber, and he subs hundreds of thousands of cards, and he was able to tell us, Juan Soto Topps Chrome had a 98% gem rate. Right, we always try to add value to our audience because Cage is right. I do want the little guy to win. The little guy wins. I believe everybody wins. What cards are you seeing most heavily traded on your platform?
To be honest with you, we're seeing diversity like we never have before. The base card market, you guys know, I don't have to repeat it. It fell off the cliff when the market kind of corrected itself in spring and summer. What I'm seeing is the kind of the secondary parallels, not the most expensive stuff where the bottom level of collectors can't afford, but people are buying the next level up. They're not necessarily buying a base card. They might be buying, a blue refractor, gold refractor. They're clearly trying to get rarer with their purchases. Definitely a little bit more educated as far as what they're buying for the newer guys that bought in the spike. But there isn't really anything that sticks out as far as that people are just, buying on a weekly basis. You get the same. Go ahead.
What about baseball? Where are people at with it, right? Because it's such a weird, these are baseball cards, but I would say baseball is a distant fifth right now. I think Formula One is more popular than baseball. Sorry, but
it used to be baseball was dead all winter, right? You didn't have to worry about it till February, March. That being said, with the way the market is now and as many people that are in the market, I think that people are trying to get out ahead of the winter slumps. I just sold 4 blue Mookie Betts refractor autos, gems the other night, all inside of 5 minutes. And I had, I showed Ken a screenshot. I had, I think, 42 offers inside of 20 minutes on MySlabs, and they were all baseball. Everything baseball. And I sold them for, the going rate. There was no discount. The guy that bought the 4 blue refractor autos paid top dollar for all 4. Right now, you could expect Juan Soto to be a big seller. Tatis, all the young studs that, have had a little bit of a price drop. I think people are going to start buying them up sooner this year than other years in fear that the price is going to get out of hand in spring. This time last year, I bought a Fernando Tatis gold refractor auto gem from MC Sports Cards, if you guys know him, for $18,000.
MC at this point?
He actually moved down the street from me from out of nowhere. It was weird.
Well, by judging his collection, he's going to have a house in every state.
Yeah.
So.
He's moving down the street from everyone.
Yeah.
But I bought that for $18,000 last winter around this time. I sold it in March for $38,000, and they hadn't played a lick of baseball yet. I think people are afraid that's going to happen, and it probably will on several players. So you're going to see earlier purchases in the winter this year.
I got a theory on baseball, about baseball making a comeback. Are you ready for this one?
Cage bombs on Monday. This is incredible. Before your soda,
man.
too.
It's Monday morning. So it's a cage bomb. So and it ties back to what we just talked about with not being able to invest in season, right? So here you talk about Mac Jones, right? You can't buy because you're not Mac Jones. You didn't buy his Prism, right? You can't buy his Prism because Mac Jones is not there. You want to invest in him in the beginning of the year, you couldn't because his Prism's not out. Hell, his Mosaic wasn't even out, right? You want to invest in basketball, but you can't buy an Evan Mobley card. You can't even get a hoops yet. You know what I mean? And when's Prism going to come out? Who the hell knows? Well, here's what's funny. In baseball, right? Baseball, Topps, they don't come out with their card usually until the guy's already playing. So people are kind of used to that in baseball, right? The update comes out after the guy's in the season. Hell, the Juan DeFranco was up this year, rookie of the year basically, and he's not even going to be out until next year's cards. His rookie won't be out. So people in baseball cards are kind of used to that, and I think it hurt. It hurt baseball. The pace of the game hurt baseball. The fact that it was a 4-hour game and today's collector has a 5-minute attention span, that all hurt baseball. But what was helping the other sports were that you could invest in the young players during the year with the right card for them, right? You were able to buy that Zion while he was playing and trade that Zion. You were able to buy that Luka while they were playing. You were able to buy that Mahomes. You were able to buy those guys while they were playing. You can't do that now with basketball. and football anymore, right? So that advantage that basketball and football had over baseball, it's not there anymore. But you know what baseball has? Because they knew about Topps, they have a legitimate, not hoops, they have the first Bowman card and first Bowman autos of these young guys. So baseball has something that now basketball and football have lost, right? If there's a rookie this year who you think is going to be great and you want to get in on that rookie ahead of time before the call-up, there is a legit investment vehicle you can use for that baseball rookie, for that prospect. People are big on prospecting. Baseball might be right now the viable prospecting investment sport. So that's my thought on baseball.
Right.
That's a good point. And base prices have come back down because typically the guys that go and buy base cards, midseason, if you were to do that to Fernando Tatis during the spike, I think his base PSA 10s hit like $700 for his 2016 Bowman Chrome. I had boxes and boxes of stuff I had to dig through just to find these stupid things because I used to break cases galore and I'd put all my base cards away. I think they hit like $700 or something like that, but now they've come back down, not just him, everybody else. And it's true. You can go back if, this rookie that wasn't getting a lot of attention before, call up, look at Randy Arozarena last year, you could go and pick up base cards. Those were available, and he's not the greatest example because he's a little older.
And he doesn't have a Bowman card.
Yeah. And,
why doesn't he?
Because he wasn't drafted, I don't think. I think he came over.
International, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, you're right. There is kind of a lower budget fallback for baseball.
Yeah, and I think just the path to the pros in baseball is a lot. I think it's longer in a lot of ways. Than like say basketball and football. So I think that it just gives people. Obviously baseball cards, for certain guys get out of control before these guys even get close to the majors, for years at a time sometimes.
You're a Yankee guy. Think about it. What if Jason Dominguez, if he has such a great spring that they're talking about Dominguez maybe coming up this year. He's young, but maybe he plays this year, right? He doesn't have a Topps card, right? He has more Bowman cards than anybody I've ever seen for a 12-year-old, right? So there are legit investment vehicles where you could invest in him coming into the season and have that card and be right on him, whereas the other sports don't have that right now. You're not going to be right on Evan Mobley at all right now with what, a Prism draft card? Nobody wants that. Everybody knows, that's just it's a silly card. As soon as anything else comes out, the value tanks on it. So baseball's it's an interesting thing, right? If they find a way to make the games less than 7 hours long and clippable and put them on Instagram, home run derby it or something like that, it could have a resurgence. Shoot, man.
Well, Topps beats it to death too, right? As far as prospecting now, you might have four years of a prospect card before they ever hit the majors. So there's plenty of avenues there to invest in, in a different level. So you're right.
What's the fix for that? Like college cards? Like what's the how do you set up a mechanism to be able to speculate on these basketball, football guys like the baseball guys?
Well, it's funny you should say that because now with the NIL and those deals, you're actually going to be able to invest in these guys, but that won't happen now. But I mean, when Mikey Williams makes the NBA, he's probably going to have 50 cards. You saw Topps now just did a set of him. The overtime elite guys. When those guys come out, there will be a potential viable investment Topps card for them.
Right.
So the landscape is changing. It really is.
If they really are serious about selling, prospect cards in other sports, they'll probably have to switch up the jersey issue. Bowman kind of switched to major league uniforms a long time ago because the cards sell better, right? Yeah. There's this kind of stigma in sports cards that people don't like to invest in college jerseys for whatever reason. They may want to address that if that becomes a thing.
Well, it's alienating, right? Like if I invest in a player with Georgia Bulldogs, but I'm from Pennsylvania, I don't want to rep Georgia.
Right.
No, seriously, okay, it's simple, but think about that. I don't want to rep Georgia. Why would I? Well, Bama, Roll Tide. No, I just like Jalen Hurts. I don't like Bama, Roll Tide. I want to ask you guys something. When you guys heard the Fanatics news, you guys are collectors. Well, I'll go to Matt first, then Ken. What was your take? What was your feeling? What was the vibe when you heard the Fanatics news?
Well, I heard a lot of kind of background noise with it. So, granted, they have a ton of time to straighten out any issues and kind of make a roadmap here, but my immediate thought was if they did not buy Topps or did not buy Panini, there would be a few issues. If you can't provide continuity of some sort in this industry and just kind of cut everything off at a certain point, you're going to alienate a lot of collectors that were used to collecting a certain way before, right? The Bowman Chrome collectors, if there's no more Bowman Chrome, if it has to be something else, Panini Prism, anything like that. My gut reaction was that, you know, they're just creating a monopoly and will be able to do whatever they want and dictate or try to dictate how people collect and where they collect, where they buy. I didn't have a favorable reaction, but the reality set in that these guys have years to test the market and do what they have to do, create a roadmap that's going to work for everybody, because they're not just thinking about the people that are in the industry now. They're thinking about the people, you know, the millions of people they're trying to draw in. So gut reaction was it wasn't great for the industry, but let's see how it plays out. They have all the money in the world to play with, right?
Ken?
Yeah. You know, I think for me it was, you know, kind of neutral. You know, I think they're, you know, again, I mean, it just anytime it's just a byproduct of just like a really hot space and you just kind of new money, you know, coming in a big way to, you know, a space that is maybe hot, but you know, I mean, it definitely, I mean, I don't particularly think there was anything broken, you know, with the way things were at the time. So like anytime somebody comes in to try to maybe not necessarily fix, but like to try to, you know, kind of disrupt a space that isn't necessarily broken and also a space that's got a lot of heritage and decades of history and a collecting base that's got a ton of passion and, you know, like I said, it's, you know, I saw it as kind of disrupting or, you know, making an attempt to disrupt something that doesn't necessarily need disruption. So like, I just, my initial reaction was, you know, negative in that way. But, you know, to Matt's point, I mean, obviously they have all the money in the world to get the best and brightest, you know, talent and, you know, longer term, you know, can they grow the size of the hobby and bring in a lot of new folks and, you know, have Super Bowl commercials for cards and things like that, and like really grow the hobby in that kind of a way. You know, so that could be a good thing. And so I'm trying to keep an open mind. So that kind of balances out, you know, maybe some of the short-term challenges that I see.
There's that neutral. Cage, you are chomping at that bit. You're moving in your seat. The soda's kicking in.
Well, I've never really given my like take on like the Fanatics stuff. I mean, we talked about
Let's hear it.
You know what's funny about it? I mean, if I'm being honest, we've now talked to a lot of people about Fanatics. And I even talked to a card store owner. I've never been in that card store before this week, a couple miles further than I usually would travel for cards. I just dropped my daughter off for ice skating. And, oh, look at this. There's a card store. You know, you always have to find the local card stores, right? So, you know, I was actually talking to him about Fanatics. My take on Fanatics is pretty straightforward, I think. It's everybody who is mad about the hobby now thinks Fanatics is going to fix it, and everybody who's happy about the way the hobby is now thinks Fanatics is bad. And the ultimate answer is, for the people who think Fanatics is going to fix everything, they're going to be slightly disappointed and slightly happy. And for the people who thinks that the Fanatics is going to kill their gravy train, they'll also be slightly upset but slightly happy. I don't think it's going to move the needle one way or the other. For the distributors out there and the breakers out there who have figured out a way to get all of the product and squeeze every bit of profit out of it for the last couple of years, the breakers who are getting everything they want from the distributors and the distributors who are charging whatever they want because the breakers are still breaking it and there's just profit flowing in, should they be a little concerned about Fanatics' direct model? Sure. But is it really going to kill them? No. Right? There might be some consolidation in that industry. You know, the bigger ones might prevail. But is it going to kill the distribution model? I don't think so. Is it going to kill breaking? No. Should everyone be breaking? Probably not. You know, might it kill the people who only break the blasters that they bribe the Target or Walmart guy to get? Sure, they might not have too bright of a future. But for those LCSs, right, who are also complaining, and they say, you know what, the distributors have killed us, and we can't wait for Fanatics because I'm going to be able to buy as much product as I want from them, and I'm going to be able to get as many things as I can because Fanatics can come straight to me. I think they're also wrong. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, maybe they'll be able to get a little more, or maybe they'll have, a better model that doesn't rely on them, paying distributors, through the nose or being under thumb of the distributors like a lot of these local guys are now. But ultimately, I think there's going to be room for everybody in it, and no one's going to be as happy as they think they are. No one's going to be as upset as they think they are. The continuity thing is an interesting thing, Matt, because that's an old style collector view. That's me too. It's like, oh man, I'm going to buy gold cards because everybody buys gold, right? And I want to buy my Mookie Betts gold paper because I only have a Trout gold paper, and I want to have the same thing over and over again. And you know what happened when I thought that way? I got killed because everybody bought Chrome. Everybody bought Chrome gold instead of paper gold, the continuity. And I look back at this, and that was my initial thought on it too. Like, they need to buy up a deck, or they need to buy Topps, or they need to buy Panini. But this is not the first time this has happened, and it probably won't be the last, right? I mean, people were probably quite upset in, 08, 09, when that was going to be the end of Upper Deck for basketball. It was going to be, and you're not going to get Exquisite anymore? Oh, my goodness. People love Exquisite. How can we live in a world with no Exquisite?
And Topps Chrome came out with one of the most fire designs ever. We're right. That 2008 is a gorgeous card. I
mean, and how, and then Topps is gone and Panini's there, right? I mean, how are you going to survive in football when Topps is not making football cards anymore? I mean, come on, we got Johnny Unitas to Jim Brown to Jerry Rice and Joe Montana all the way through, How could we not have a world where Topps is making the football cards, but now the kids who collect and the people who collect are great buying their Prism Mahomes, right, or their National Treasures. So you have to go back, and we're in a moment here, those couple of years, where it's the same thing that it was. And, there was a little overlap, and there'll be some overlap, right, where in 2012, people had the option to buy that Russell Wilson Chrome or that Russell Wilson Prism. And I'm sure, looking back now, you got some that like each one of them, right? But at the time, probably people were like, oh, this Prism, I don't want to buy this Prism. Look, I got Chrome for everybody else in my collection. But that changes, and I think it'll change going forward as well, because it just always has.
It's a good point. Sorry,
go ahead.
Just to kind of echo that. That's a good point. Because obviously Matt, even when Matt made his point that they should buy Topps, they should buy Panini, and you can't imagine a world without Panini Prism basketball or football. But hey, it's only been around since 2012, so like this happened before, right?
Yeah.
And now we're talking about them as like you can't be. What would the hobby be without that?
Yeah,
give Matt a chance, Cage. Give Matt a chance to rebut.
I would say it is slightly different with Topps, though, right? They've been around since 1951. They've produced just about everything. Vintage, is Topps. It's Bowman. Bowman was eventually obviously bought out by Topps. I do believe if they don't buy Topps, there will be a disruption, but I don't think for a minute that it won't correct itself. Give it 2 or 3 years and people will be back in. But I absolutely know from being at the ground level with collectors, in particular in the Facebook forums, listening to what's being said, it's not even just, old jerks like myself. The young kids that have been buying Topps update,
new jerks like me.
The parallels. It's just, if you slam the door on something that's been the industry standard forever, and granted, there's going to be some overlap with the contracts that Fanatics holds, it just won't be business as usual, at least not in my opinion.
So I love it. I love that analysis, right? But here's the thing: what sells the most on your site?
Basketball.
Probably not baseball, right? And what sells the most in the world? Probably not baseball.
Basketball.
Who do kids want? Probably not baseball. And you're right. Topps has been around forever, and Topps has basically been the worst at it. They have a legacy business, and they've been great, and everybody loves Mickey Mantle, and everybody loves all the Topps cards that are out there. But if I'm Panini, if I'm Fanatics, Topps would be the last one I want to buy, because even though they have this great IP and they have this great stuff, they're basically running their business into the ground here. I'm sure they're making money, but probably mostly on bazooka. But I guess my point on it is I wouldn't buy them, because you're right. They might be slamming the door on the the people who have invested in Bowman Chrome autos and people who have done that. I doubt that, because anybody who thinks like that, it's a little short-minded, right? When basketball Topps Chrome came and people wanted to buy Kobe, they didn't say, I'm not buying these Kobe cards because my Michael Jordan is an 86 Fleer. Like, I'm sure at the time there was thought like that, but think about that with a wider lens. And remember what you thought, right? You thought, I'm going to be open-minded here. And Ken said the same thing too. And the LCS, I was in the same thing. When Fanatics announced this, they plan on tripling the amount of people in the industry, right? So I'm sure they're worried about the people you're talking to who want Bowman Chrome to have a continuity and buy Bowman Chrome because they've always bought Bowman Chrome. I'm sure they have that. I'm sure they have that in mind and they want to care about that person. But I think the overarching thing that they're doing, and they're not putting money in to take care of the people who have been here forever.
Yep.
They didn't spend what they spent to keep Topps continuity and keep that money. They spent that money because, we'll try to take care of that guy. But you know how we're going to take care of that guy? We're going to take care of that guy by bringing in our Fanatics products and bringing in our people that bring 4 times as many people buying our future products. And those people are going to look back at the Bowman. They'll buy your guy's stuff. We'll take care of your guy because we're going to have now 4 times as many people in the hobby looking to buy the cards that they're trying to sell. That's how I think they take care of those people. It's not slamming the door on them. And it doesn't work if they don't do that, right? I mean, that's what's being promised. So.
And to be clear, I didn't mean slamming the door on the collector and the investor. I just meant on the products. I have this argument with people, and I take your stance. Fanatics is not looking 2 years down the road. They're looking 10 to 20 years down the road. So in particular with the way their contracts are lapped with NBA and MLB, they have time to figure it out. And I don't think it would be kind of a detriment to them for a long time, but there might be a 2 or 3 year kind of correction period there in the beginning where people need to learn, the values in the new stuff, where they need to learn what the hierarchy of the new cards are going to be.
I'll ask a question. We'll slam the door on this topic and get back to MySlabs for you because we want to trumpet your stuff, right? But I love this topic because it just gets people going, right? As a lawyer, I'm not supposed to ask questions I don't already know the answer to, but I'm going to do it anyway. It'll be a fun exercise. What are 2 cards in each of your collections that you just don't want to sell? They're the ones like, the cards that you have in your collection that when somebody comes over who you're thinking about getting into the hobby, you want to show them. That's your piece. That's hey, look at this cool thing. It's like art. Or look at this cool thing. It's like, this is the one that I want to be buried with, my casket card. Shoot, give me 2 cards.
I have a 98 Essential Credentials Cal Ripken Jr. numbered to 9 PSA 10. Pop 1. I would sell it, but I don't want to. You don't find Essential Credentials in the single digits, and you certainly don't find them in PSA 10s. The other is I have the 4 Bowman Chrome printing plates for Mookie Betts Prospect Autos, the set of 4. So that's technically not 1 card, but you can't find – people don't like printing plates, but you can't find superstar sets together. And I happen to be a huge Betts fan, and that was difficult to accomplish. So that would be my 2.
All right. Ken?
And for me, these were actually relatively recent pickups for me, but they literally check every box, and I foresee myself being buried with these.
You're the 42 punks and the 42 apes,
No, I don't know any punks. I wish I did, but
can't be buried with a punk.
It's true. But I was.
You just take your iPhone, Cage.
Battery will die. Can't access it in the
Sorry, Ken. I apologize.
No, go. So I was the whole Lakers Celtics rivalry in the '80s. That actually made me a basketball fan at the time. I mean, I'm 40. I'll be 46 in like a week. So I was 10 years old in the mid '80s, and just getting into sports at the time, and the whole Lakers Celtics rivalry. Like I lived in New York or what have you, but I love Magic Johnson. I became a Lakers fan at that time. Just, every year when, the schedule will come out, I would mark on my calendar the 2 games that they would play the Celtics. And like, I just, I lived for that stuff at that time. And so basically recently I picked up a 2012 Prism Gold Magic Johnson, the number to 10. And alongside that, I was actually able to get my hands on a 2012 green Prism Larry Bird, which makes like a really great color match. You know, the green Prism. So you know the gold Magic with the green Bird side by side and on my bookcase right now. It just every day I look at those cards, man. Like I just it gives me that warm fuzzy feeling. Like it's I don't know, man. Like that's to me that's what it's all about. And it really like, I mean, they're beautiful cards. You know, the Magic especially is rare. I mean, it definitely wasn't cheap. The Bird I got for a song on eBay, but the point is that it just, it's nostalgic. You know, they're beautiful cards, and yeah, man, like that's it.
Well, this is why I don't ask questions I don't know the answers of. Matt gave me a window to work with, right? With the essential credentials, right? We started off 1-for-1 with the answers because that's not currently licensed. I mean, it's a Skybox card, right? So the card you're taking to your grave with you is a card that, it's not current. It's not the current NBA license, right? It's not Panini. It's not Prism. It's not National Treasures. It's not Topps. You know what I mean? It was licensed at the time, but it's not Topps, right? And that was the first card you named. You, Ken, I swore you were gonna go Magic Bird rookie for Topps basketball, and when you went your whole Magic Bird thing, I swore you were going to go, the 81 Topps, but you didn't, with the Scoring Kings on there. Go ahead.
And to be honest, like when I bought the the gold Magic, it was actually in the recent PWCC Premier Auction.
Yeah.
Like I was deciding whether or not I was going to, with that same kind of budget, I could either buy a PSA 9 Bird Magic rookie. Mm-hmm. Or go with the Magic, and I already had the green Bird, to go with it. But I just I made a decision. Really it was the population thing. So I obviously it's a 25K card that's real money to me. Maybe not some people, but to me that's a lot of money. So.
And there's 10 of those in any condition. There's 600 and change of the PSA 9s. I get
right, exactly.
But the point, of course, is even that Topps card for Magic Bird, an iconic card. That basketball is not Topps license, so who knows what's going to happen? That's my thought on the Fanatics. People Grail cards, Michael Jordan Fleer 86, PSA 10 like that. Your Joe Montana rookies, your Jarrett Rice rookies. These were cards that were licensed at the time. They were the card at the time, but they're not now. That stuff changes, and you'll have Grails, and people are going to have Grails like you. When Fanatics takes over, you're still going to hold that Magic Johnson card out as a Grail. But you know what? There will be a whole new world. Maybe my son, maybe your kids, who are like, whatever the hell the Fanatics product is going to be, whatever they do that's shiny and mirrory and chromy or has actual game used stuff in it. This is one of the cool things about this hobby. We kind of are, we're very flexible. We're nimble, right?
That's actually a really good point, because I mean, listen, let's face it. I mean, 2012, Panini, like, Magic and Bird were long retired at that point. So it's I mean, who's to say that they won't, like, obviously 2012 is the first year Prism, it's got some, importance as a set. Who's to say that there won't be a first year Fanatics, Magic and Bird version that's like an awesome looking card, short printed, that, I won't be falling over myself to get my hands on, so that's a good point.
We have this conversation all the time, and I stress to people, these, I could be completely wrong. Fanatics could just knock it out of the park from day one, and it would just be absolutely amazing for the industry. I could be completely wrong. It's just you kind of try to forecast what's going to happen. I can't. I don't know. If they find a way to get my Panini redemptions for Panini, that would be great. Because my 2012, 2013 certified Kobe Bryant auto just hasn't come in the mail yet. That would be great. But again, I'm keeping my expectations kind of tempered. I don't know what's going to happen. You try to project. I don't think anybody really knows. They could knock it out of the park, and I could be dead wrong.
Ken, I'll start with you and Matt, and this is my last question for you guys. Go ahead. I apologize for cutting you off.
No. Just before we leave that topic altogether, just a funny tidbit on the Magic card is that that was actually Dave Owens is the one that consigned that to PWCC. So like Dave and I, we work together every day, and we're friends and we talk all the time. And I've seen it in his case. It shows, and I've always said to myself, I'm like, like, at some point I'll try to, maybe if I sell one of my apes, like I'll pick it up from Dave or something like that at some point. Like, it was always in the back of my mind to do something. And then all of a sudden one day, like, but I never said anything, right? Like I never said it. And then all of a sudden one day he was just like, oh yeah, I consigned a couple of cards to the PWCC auction. I said, oh, which ones? And sure enough, it was that one. So it was,
So it's a Kobe certified auto. That's what the one you're looking for, Kobe certified auto, Matt.
Me? Yeah, I have quite a few older redemptions stuck at Panini, but I have a 2012, 2013 certified Brian auto numbered to 10 that they.
Ooh, that's
that
nice.
that they have opened and shut, the case on now. I don't know how many times, and they won't respond to anything either. So
That's
not
not
a
an
lot of hope
easy.
there.
That's not an easy auto to get right now.
No, not at
I'm
all.
sure they have some stickers left, but let's talk a little projecting grading. I'll start with you, Ken, then go to Matt, then wrap with Cage. It used to be BGS was the number one. Then BGS 9.5 was close to PSA 10. I got to commend SGC what they've done. They've done an amazing kind of run this last year to really solidify themselves as a player in the modern market. They've always been vintage. What do you guys see with grading? Why is there such a big vig between PSA and BGS? How did that arise, and do you think that's going to continue moving forward? Curious to hear your take, Ken.
I mean, I think part of it is like, you want a card on your mantelpiece, you want it to be a 10, right? You don't want it to be a 9.5. I mean, even if they're both called Gem Mint, I think there's a lot of people that want that 10. I mean, there's something about that 9.5 that like makes it feel like it's kind of lacking, in some way. I mean, even though like we all know that a PSA 10 could be anywhere from a BGS 9 to a 10 pristine, but it's on any given day, but it's I mean, I think that's definitely part of it. But I don't know, I mean, I think personally, like, I think there's a lot of like when I buy like PC stuff, a lot of times like I'll just take like a buy the card as opposed to buy the grade approach. And I feel like there's a lot of value to be had in like buying BGS gems and SGC gems. I mean, a lot of cards, that I have, in my PC are BGS and SGC just because, and I see it as kind of like, I don't know, almost like an arbitrage, opportunity in some cases. If you have a good eye and you can buy the card, I think there's opportunities there. But I don't know. I mean, I think a PSA, I mean, again, aside from the fact that it's a 10 and not a 9.5, I mean, maybe there's a brand, recognition there. People are paying for the brand name. Maybe there's an element of that. I don't know.
Because where it surprises me, and I agree with everything you said there, is with the Jordan Fleer card. So with the Jordan Fleer 86, to me, a 9.5 is what it was like $80,000, $90,000, depending on the subgrades, where a PSA 10 is like $380. And honestly, a lot of 9.5s look better than the 10s on PSA, but yet people still reach for those 10s, and it's fascinating to watch it unfold. Anything you want to add, Matt?
Well, the industry has a lot of monkey see, monkey do, right? So people tend to follow the leader. PSA has the set registry, for the really elite collectors, which is basically an ego stroke for a lot of those guys. So it starts there, and really it started a few years ago. In the Facebook forums of people promoting PSA as being the tougher gem, and they should be commanding a bigger premium. I mean, look at PSA 1010s, with the 10 auto grade. Those cards are like 4, 5, 6 times a BGS gem without breaking a sweat. Why? If you're buying a PSA 10, shouldn't you assume that auto is a 10 anyway? Why does that, the 10 auto make it that much more money? So I'd say that it's kind of a lot of follow the leader, but really, BGS hasn't done anything to help themselves in the last year and a half, 2 years. You mentioned SGC. SGC is growing by leaps and bounds, and the more modern basketball they put in their products, the better they do. We've seen the gaps closing value-wise on site and out in the wilderness. They're more mainstream. They're more acceptable amongst the modern crowd. BGS has just kind of remained dormant. PSA, obviously, had a huge undertaking this year with Nat and Cohen buying them and putting all the money towards them. SGC is, making pushes. BGS has just kind of shut its doors and isn't really doing anything. You don't hear much from them. If you go search eBay right now, 2021 BGS and filter sports cards, there isn't a lot on there. There isn't a ton of stuff where you can go PSA, SGC, and there's tens of thousands of cards out in the population. So right now it comes down to, BGS just isn't helping themselves out a ton.
Cage, any final words before we wrap?
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, monkey see, monkey do is huge in everything we do. I mean, Ken talks about his apes. That's a perfect example. Monkey see, monkey do, right? but in all honesty, think about that for a second, right? It's collectors are a different breed. And it doesn't really matter what the collector is, what you're collecting, right? I mean, look at the most recent Yeezys. I mean, you have to be a lunatic to actually wear those shoes. Right? I mean, they look ridiculous, but yet everybody in that community wants them, right? Because that's what people want. And there's something to be said about, you want what other people want. I say it all the time, Andrew. Nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd, right? That's the Soul Asylum lyric, right? So and really, this is what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about that. Michael Jordan is the best example you have, right? Because are there ones in SGC 10 holders that are as nice or nicer than some of the PSA 10s? Sure. Are there ones in BGS 9.5 holders that are as nice? Probably, but in our world, the registry, Matt, is a perfect example. In our world, in collecting world, there are levels to it, right? And there are tickets to the dance, and there are different layers of tickets, right? You can get into the show, but you want to sit orchestra, you want to sit courtside, where do you want to sit, right? And that Michael Jordan in a PSA 10, which is an unimprovable version of the card, which is what you were talking about, Ken, that is a ticket to the dance. Now, there's a VIP room where the three people with the BGS 10s are going to sit and look down on those 319 PSA 10 guys, right? So there's levels to this. There are always levels. But right now, PSA is doing a very good job of marketing that 10, right? When you rate yourself, Andrew, because you do this all the time. I've seen you. Sometimes you don't take the camera off after the show, and you're in the mirror, and you do, you're doing this, you're doing this, and you say, I'm a 10. I'm a 10. You don't say, look at me, I'm a 9.5. You don't.
I'm a PSA 6, but if I was in a BGS case, I would be pristine, is what I said.
I'm a 10. Like you do this whole thing, you flex into the mirror, right? And that is there's a lot to be said there, man. There really is. And PSA has it. It's a clean label. Everybody's in it right now. It wasn't always that way. It might not always be that way. And there's definitely people who are catching up. I'm not talking about the Willy Wonka factory that remains closed down in Texas. I am talking about other folks, right? So I hear what you're saying. I love the buy the card, not the holder. But here's the problem with that. You have to know what you're buying it for. And people who want to buy at some point exit, not your PC, not that card I'm taking to the grave, not your Mookie Betts, printing plates, right? Or your Magic and Bird cards, right? Because you like those, because that's me. I have a story, that's nostalgia. But for the people who are buying Juan Soto right now to sell Juan Soto this year, the people who are buying these cards and prospecting on, the people who are looking to flip, which by the way is like 85% of our market, right now, PSA has that down. They have those guys because people know that that's going to be the way to maximize your money. When you buy a PSA slab, you're going to sell it for the most.
Sure. I mean, if you're flipping, you got to buy the grade. It's not. Unless you have a great eye and you're going to crack them, right? It's funny. You guys, you said before, there are cards in the BGS gem cases and SGC. Gem cases that are nicer than the PSA 10s, the Jordan cards, there's probably some in PSA 9 cases that are nicer than some of the 10s too, but if you got a good eye and obviously you want to play the crack game, that's certainly, a thing, but when I say buy the card, not the grade, that's definitely for PC stuff specifically, and if you're looking to invest, like you said, man, it's you gotta be aware of the grade and the grading company too, for that matter. 1,000%.
I love it.
Just I know it's been long, but can we spend like 2 minutes just on the MySlab process? If there's somebody
1,000%.
out there listening, right? So guys, if there are people listening who have never even heard of MySlabs and they want to sign up for MySlabs, do us a favor, just kind of walk through what the sign up is like, what they do, how you sell, how you buy, just kind of like a walkthrough kind of tutorial for the last couple of minutes of the show here on MySlabs with people where they can sign up, what they need to do. Do they send the cards to you? No, right? They're shipping. So let's just walk through kind of like a whole thing for new people who are interested in it, if you don't mind.
Take it away, Matt.
Okay, so if you're a new user or kind of on the fence about whether or not you want to use this, in order to create an account, you would need to log on to myslabs.com. There is a big start here icon at the top of the main page where you can create an account, apply to sell, your application gets sent to our application department, and we do screen all sellers right then and there. So you're not getting on if you have no sales history on, anywhere, or if you've had problems in the past. Part of our allure is we have such deep hobby connections. We know a lot of the names that are no-goes as soon as they come in the application process. So we screen out any bad apples. So after reviewing the application, which typically is done within, an hour to 2 hours, you'll receive an email notification whether you've been approved, denied. If you've been denied, there might be reasons due to like lack of feedback history on eBay, on in the Facebook forums, and there's some suggestions there as to what you can do to kind of get yourself moved along in the process. From there, if you are approved to sell, just click the little camera icon in the toolbar. It's extremely easy to upload, but we stress picture quality. People think we're being jerks, but picture quality is a must. And if you're taking beautiful pictures of refractors and so forth, those do sell faster. If you have pictures with your feet or your dog in the picture, it's going to get deleted. You might receive an email saying, hey, kind of clean up, because we provide examples in the seller's application.
If there's a picture of your dog with your picture, I want the dog and the picture when I buy the card.
That is what I said to one guy that had his dog in the picture. I said, I'm going to buy this card. I want that dog because it's in the picture. He removed the dog. So
does that mean, by the way, that I have to take somebody's feet? Because I don't know if I want that. I'll take the card and keep your toes.
Some people might put their wives in the picture.
I don't know how many people own glass tables with cards on them and bare feet. There's no need of that. Just have be a little conscious about what you're uploading. Good pictures do sell faster. If you're taking a picture in a closet with no light on, nobody's going to buy your card. You can take a look at our free sales archive. We have up to the second, sales posted in our free sales archive. Not only is that a free sales archive, but it's not like other platforms. If the card does not get paid for within our 24-hour payment window, the card is removed from the sales archive and automatically relisted in the feed for the seller, where the buyer's account is deactivated. We want our sellers getting paid fast, and we want our buyers getting their items shipped fast. So log in, check out the terms and conditions for the buying and sellers, and that's about it. We do have some big things coming down the road too for you guys, but we can't talk about those.
Understood. Create an account, guys. It's free. I've told you guys this.
Or sealed wax, right? Slabs only, or sealed wax.
What's that?
Currently, we only have slabs, and before anybody asks, we only allow the products specifically listed in the drop downs. So if you just started a grading company yesterday, your product is not going to be listed in the drop down. It's nothing personal, but we are a no return website, and we need to see a history of consistency and reliability before opening the floodgates to these new grading agencies. You guys know for a fact some of these new players have significant issues right now that can wreak havoc on our customer service center and kind of kill our reputation and our no return policy or limited return policy. So no offense, only add what's listed in the drop downs for now.
Well, I'll say, if you're a new grading company, understand that product market fit takes time, adoption takes time. Don't rush, do the things right, and eventually all of these marketplaces will come to you asking you to have their cards on there.
Right. You can't force growth in this industry. You guys know that. It has to kind of come naturally at acceptance. People are contrarian by nature. They're used to what they're used to. They want to sub with who they want to sub with. And, anything new that pops up in the industry usually is frowned upon for a while. We went through our growing pains, and we legitimately were offering the best protection for buyers and sellers on the planet, I feel. And we were doing it at a huge discount. We were offering to put more money in your pocket. People still really didn't want to use us. A lot of people were very hesitant to using us. And now that we're a little more mainstream, we have 40,000 accounts and growing rapidly. But we kind of paid our dues in the industry, and these guys
Sure.
have to understand, in particular their membership base, that they're going to have to too.
1,000%. And there's a lot of people that want to support too. Like we always talk about, the haters. In this hobby, people want to support. They want to give new businesses a shot. So lean into that. Listen to your customers. Do right by your customers. There's no shortcuts. Ken, Matt, I mean, we're going on 2 hours. We talked 45 minutes backstage, getting to know you guys. This is an awesome episode. Thank you guys for your time. I want to give Riverfront Collectibles, David Owens, we've mentioned his name, Riverfront Collectibles on Instagram, a shout out. He put us in touch with Matt and Ken. He said you guys are going to have fun. These are going to be great guests. And he wasn't wrong, not even for a second. Thank you guys for joining. Guys, create an account on MySlabs.
Thank you very much, guys. That was a blast.
Guys, really, really a pleasure. Hope we can all chat again, even if it's, informally. You guys seem like great guys. I really, really enjoy the content, and I really enjoy just kind of, the genuine place that you guys come from with it. So I appreciate it.
Another thing you got right.
Thanks,
we are
guys.
great guys.